Okay, good afternoon, everyone. This is a hybrid session. I've never done one. Okay. So we are a big proponent of hybrid work, as you know, but I've never done a hybrid session. So apologies if something goes wrong or, something doesn't work out.
I think it's an appropriate place to try technology like this.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's an appropriate place to use technology and make it a hybrid one. So first question, Ekhlaque and Mayank, can you see us? Or are we?
Yes, we can see you much larger than you would actually want to be seen.
Okay. So maybe Ajay, you and I can sit at two ends, and it's going to be easy. So, this discussion is a little different. I mean, we are normally used to the panel discussion format where it's more of a conversation, but this is important because here is a real customer, a real project. We spoke about 18% success of projects in the previous session. Here is a project which has been immensely successful. The customer is vouching for it. The service provider is present here. And we want to learn from, what went right in this project, what were the pitfalls, how was the journey, and how did these two entities, the customer and the partner, essentially come together to make it a success. Okay, so therefore, this is real learnings, and I hope you will have a lot of takeaways from this session. So first, if Mayank and Ekhlaque, question to you, if you want to just describe the problem statement, the business problem statement that you guys had when you started this journey, and what were you trying to solve for? If you could just help the audience understand that.
Yeah, sure. So we have around, first, good afternoon to everyone, all of the audience. I can't see or hear you, but a big hi from my side and a very good afternoon to all of you. We have around 1,600 stores pan India, and all of these stores get their entire supplies from our supply chain centers. There are 8 of them across India. So 1,600 stores get all 100%. So we do not buy anything from the open market. All of it comes from our supply chain centers. But these ingredients, whether it is cheese, capsicum, vegetables, chicken, paneer, whatever that might be, adds up to a list of 100 plus that are used in the stores. Now these 100 plus ingredients, they need to be ordered or reordered at a predefined frequency back to the supply chain. So we want more cheese, more dough balls, more capsicum, so on and so forth. And all of these items have an expiry, they have a shelf life, they have a best use date, the dough is best on a certain day. So there are many things that go into making a decision how much quantity should we reorder and restock at. There is safety stock also into play. Now imagine a store manager and in the front office the attrition is high. Even if you are running 40% attrition, there are people with 1 month of experience or 3 months of experience. They have to apply themselves and they have to decide what quantity of these 100 plus ingredients do they need to order, and they need to order it in such a way that if they order more, there will be food wastage and our cost will increase, it will hit our profitability, and it's bad for sustainability and the environment. If we order less, then we lose revenue, and then we lose orders and we lose customers. So the ordering needs to be right, and this was a completely manual process. And we said, what can we do to help our store managers reorder the stock, taking all these various factors into account, get it right in such a way so that there is minimal food wastage and minimal revenue loss. That's the problem statement.
Great. Mayank, you want to add anything?
No, I think Ekhlaque has covered the context and the problem pretty well.
Okay. So problem statement clear, audience, it's a classic supply chain problem. Over ordering, under ordering, how do you match demand, and how do you, in the food industry particularly, how do you, avoid wastage, right, which is a very critical supply chain problem. Now coming to the partner, so Nihilent and Ajay, my old friend, what were the core strengths? What were the value proposition that you brought, both from a solution perspective and consulting capability perspective to this problem?
Thanks, thank you very much. Thanks, Ekhlaque and Mayank, for joining online. Thank you very much. So we are at Nihilent, one of the things is that we are very strong in data science and data analytics, deliveries. And that's one of our core strengths. And we built some IPs around this. And one of the IP we built is called Resense, is a platform where, if the name suggests Resense, we built a capabilities of sensing a lot of factors which are different from the traditional demand sensing models. Traditional demand sensing models are largely driven by the internal data factors, like your typical standard sales data and various other things. Whereas we build capabilities where we feel, especially in a business like food and especially post-pandemic, that a lot of new challenges came up in terms of demand variables were completely a different range of demand variables. And especially in food business like Domino's, the demand variables are very, very dynamic. For example, India-Pakistan match can change the demand completely. The weather can change the demand. COVID, of course, was a big driver. So there are many other external factors which can sense the demand. And we believe very clearly that the retail businesses, like any retail business today, should focus on demand-driven model. Now, for that, most important thing is sensing the demand accurately. And I think that was one of the challenge which Ekhlaque mentioned, is that sensing the accurate demand and then using that to calculate your ingredient requirement on a daily basis was the big challenge. And I think that's where the match came in. And that's how it all worked well.
Yeah. So I want to deep dive a little bit on that in terms of especially, capturing the external signals, which, as you say, it could be events, it could be weather, it could be other things. So any real examples that it could be Nihilent or Domino's who could share it. What are those specific, some of those examples that you've seen getting solved post this implementation, which maybe it was even difficult to predict before the system came in?
I think that Mayank will be in a good position to answer that because he handles it every day.
Sure, sir. Thanks for this. So, yes, when we talk about demand, and it almost typically runs various hyper-local promotions, it is specific to certain regions, certain stores. So that was a challenge. I had a solution to incorporate that in the demand forecast, which we have been able to build. And obviously, there are finding the extent to which we can quantify the impact of promotion and how we can make a forecast more inaccurate. That is not really the that's a use case which was again with us how we able to do.
I think, what I can understand what we do during the project, which we learned was there were factors like, which were not visible in the normal, internal data, which cannot be easily visible. There are stores which behave differently because of the location they are in. For example, a store on a highway behaves differently on a long weekend, and a store on a high street has got different, impact on weekdays and weekdays. Whereas a store in a mall behaves completely differently on a Friday when there is a big star movie being released in the mall, So these are some of the patterns. I remember very clearly, and Mayank, this was when in the beginning of the project, that there was one store we were struggling in Punjab, where we found that there's one particular weekend the sale has gone down to almost zero, which is completely opposite to what used to happen on normal weekends. And when we investigated the matter, we found, because on that weekend there was a big Gurdas Maan concert in that city, and the whole city was went to see that concert, and nobody was ordered pizza that day, So these are some of the external factors which we found were very critical to understand the demand. And these are some of the lessons also we learned.
Yeah. And Ajay, I'm just curious to know a little bit, and just for the audience, I'm sure some questions may be in their minds. So these kind of external events or, occasions, Some of them are predictable, some of them we don't know as even store operators or business managers. So how much of this is like automated? How much of this is probably, you know, coming from, let's say, external signals in social media? Or how do we really capture this whole universe and make sense of it to say what is really important for our business?
Mayank, Mayank, you want to come on this?
Yeah, and before I answer the question, and the question is, where do these come from? Are they internal inputs or they external inputs? And before I go there, I just want to highlight a couple of things. First, we have had some fantastic outcomes as part of this project. Our stockouts have reduced by 40%. That's a huge benefit out of this project. Our inter-store transfers have reduced by 35%. Another symptom of stockout is one store tries to borrow from another store. And the third one is our forecast accuracy is also improved by 40%. So there has been a significant jump in the outcomes that we wanted to influence, which was stockouts and inter-store transfers. This has only been possible because Nihilent had a good platform that we talked about recent, and they have put the right people who understand the domain and understand the business on board to build these algorithms and get the best out of the recent platform. I usually do not talk great things about partners, especially in public forums. A lot of partners out there who know that हमारे लिए पूरी बात किया. But in this particular case, Nihilent has done a good job. Now, I am holding myself back from saying that they have done an excellent job because our journey is 50% complete. So our forecast accuracy is only 74% despite having a 35% improvement. So you can imagine what it was before. Our inter-stock transfers or stockouts are still at a level of 3%. And you can imagine what it was. So we still have another 50% of the journey to go, but we have the right partners, and the rest of the 50% of the journey is going to come from these factors that have been spoken about. The concert, the India-Pakistan match, if we are running a campaign for Independence Day, or we are running a campaign for Diwali, or there is like flooding in Bangalore as Krishna. And over a period of time, this is kind of diminishing returns of marginal utility. As you get closer and closer to 90% or 95% accuracy, it will require more and more effort to improve the algorithm. But we have the right platform, we have the right partner, we are halfway through the journey, and we are confident that using the platform and the partner, by providing some inputs, both external as well as internal, we'll be able to improve the platform and its performance.
No, great.
Thank you, Ekhlaque. Thank you very much.
So let me come to.
I just want to add, just one of my say, what I like working with this project was they come with a very business friendly mindset, right? They're not the executive partner who have been given a scope of work in their when to deliver that and that kind of thing. But we have been coming up with diversity requirements, more detailed analysis. For example, how is an outcome that is different? Right? How do we gain learnings of different? Why did it happen? How do we prevent it in the future? Are there any underlying connections between R and different about, for example, master data, which every stock not being defined correctly, and they have been very open to have feedback. They have been open to developing those features in the solution. And they are very open to feedback on their platform as well. There is something which needs to be built to further improve what they are taking into this trend, and they are now working towards.
Great. So tell us a little bit about the journey. How did you plan? So what are the pitfalls to look out for such a critical project? And what were probably, they have a great platform, there's a great product out there, so great, but how do you make the project successful? Because the engagement itself means many more things other than the project, other than the product, right? So what were some of those learnings along the way, if you could share with the audience?
I would want to go first because there is a very important learning. This is one of the projects which is actually a benchmark within Jubilant as to how do you successfully execute a project. Okay, and the number one lesson from this, which Mayank alluded to, spoke about directly, is an agreement on the business KPI that is going to move as a result of this project. It's not about the statement of work, it's not about the scope of work, it is not about the 30-page document of CRs and what are we going to deliver, but it is simply the business, the partner and technology joined together at the hip that there are three KPIs we are going to impact: forecast accuracy, stockouts and interstore transfers. So establishing that baseline, taking a target and being focused on improving those business KPIs rather than on a contract or statement of work has been the biggest factor behind this success. Apart from having the right platform, right partner, and apart from having a very high degree of business involvement in this. So Mayank and team, this is all of these guys, the level of involvement that we had from business was outstanding. So was it from the partner. But none of this could have been a success had we not agreed on the business KPI that they would impact.
Excellent. Anything else, Mayank, you want to add?
Maybe two more points. One is also around how do we minimize the disruption in life of store manager or guest relate manager as we call them, because they are used to work in a certain manner, right? And they don't have too much bandwidth to work with complex systems, right? So how do we replace our legacy existing systems and make them more intelligent or integrated with the platform that is there, so that all the intelligence is happening in the background and they are seeing the old things that they used to see. They are getting the inputs at their required timeline, their way of having the rotation. So that disruption is minimum. Secondly, I would say, such analytics or machine learning based projects obviously thrive on data. The better output of data, the quality of data that we have, the more fruitful the outcome will be. Right? So that was the backbone of this project that we had data to launch it.
Great, great. Maybe before I hand it to back to again Ajay, question to the audience just to check if you guys are listening in. So how much was the interstore transfer metric improvement? Anybody? Yeah. So okay, everybody's listening in. So interests are perked up. How many of you think that this is worth trying out? It's quite exciting. This is a very complex case that they have solved. So how many of you think it's exciting to explore this more? Okay, good. So Ajay, what would you look at as future for this? This is quite novel. There's a very complex use case, complex industry in which you've solved for this. And in India, if you've been able to solve for this, which has its own challenges, then it's really commendable. So what's the future for this now?
So yeah, as Ekhlaque said, the job is only 50% done, And I think, there are two things. One is expectation from our customers, and the second is our own roadmap with the platform. So as the baseline of this whole platform is data science, data analytics, and there a lot can be done in this. Our vision is that apart from one is bringing as many as external factors possible. I mean, the things which Ekhlaque is expecting, there is a lot possible. We have just gone to a level of only integrating, for example, radio ads, TV ads, and we want to get into more promotional data, more events data. And once there, we feel that there is a lot of improvement can be done. So leaving that aside, we are talking of also, currently we are using sales data. If we move into for example, Ekhlaque and Mayank team has come up that they also want to use the same platform for manpower planning now. Their business runs for almost 16 hours a day, and there are 2 shifts. And especially the most critical part of their business is last mile delivery to the customer, and that's where you get the real satisfaction of the customer. How do you make sure you may make the pizza in time, but you have to deliver it also to the customer. That's where the customer gets the satisfaction. So how do you make sure that not only we are able to fulfill the ingredient requirement, but we also fulfill the delivery requirement. So delivery teams are available. What right delivery teams are required at that time? So we are now, one is working on the next manpower planning, number one. The second thing we want to move on to is the marketing angle of this. Instead of using just the sales data, we start using consumer data, the sales customer data, which so-called loyalty programs. They've just recently launched their Domino's new loyalty program. How do we use that to actually start becoming personalized to every customer from the point of view of what their buying habits are, when they buy? Does Ajay Aggarwal buy pizza every time there is a cricket match, happening? So if there is a cricket match, is he my possible customer? So can we get into that? And I think that is possible. We are talking of personalization at one-to-one level, not at the profile level. So we have a lot of new things which are lined up on the platform, which we are planning to introduce and add into these capabilities. And I'm sure retailers will benefit from that. Yeah, Ekhlaque, you're trying to say something?
No, I think we are on time. So excellent. Congratulations to both the teams. Very rarely you hear such a success story. So fortunate enough to moderate this, and we heard this. All the best to both the teams for taking this forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks. Thanks. Now the challenge will be to give a plaque to Ekhlaque and Mayank, na?
E-block will do.
Yeah, we.
Let's go to the rest of the 50%.
Yeah.
That will be a
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Mr. Ekhlaque, Mr. Mayank, for joining us virtually. A huge round of applause for them. Thank you, Mr. Ajay and Mr. Subhajit. A wonderful, yet another insightful session. Yes or no? Is everybody with me? Yes or no? I want everybody's hands up. Yes? A huge round of applause for them, everyone. Come on. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.